Hi, I'm Adam C and welcome to Renault in France. They have gone mad and they are selling 100 of their cars. We've got Formula One races, concept cars that I can't wait to show you, and these are all up for auction. Let's take a look. So we start with a lot of Formula One cars, but we're here for the concepts, aren't we? But you can appreciate all of these are up for auction and no reserve for every single car. I know, like for 20 to 30, what you can get for 20, that's about what, £15,000 to about 25. The first car that we pay attention to is this Renault Spider Trophy. So they made about 30 of these for competition use, and this one has been presented in a Harlequin livery. That's what they've called it. So this is one of the cars that was used in the single make championship series of Renault Spiders soon after their launch. When they were launched, they were just unlike anything else that Renault have produced or anyone else. So seeing a trophy version, I've never seen one before. There are more Spiders here as well. And of course, you're going to recognize the Renault Maxi 5 Turbo. So this is the prototype car for development, as it says there. The estimate of 80 to 120 is, I think, pretty much on the money. This is quite cheap though, 12 to 18,000 for the competition race car. But next along, we've got this Renault 5 GT Turbo. This came second place in the Bandama Rally in the World Rally Championship Series, and apparently still has sand inside from its history.
I've never seen wing lights.
30 to 50 for this Renault 5 GT Turbo competition car, not a road car, and nor is this. The Renault Megane, it's the 3 Trophy Maquette. It's so, there's probably nothing like these compared to, you know, your mum's Megane that's in your driveway.
This is slightly Furai-ish.
It is Mazda Furai, isn't it? So this one was just a display car. The bodywork's slightly different to your production Renault Megane trophies, but it's still got, I think, the V6. So they had V6s with about 360 horsepower to propel them along. Obviously, as a display model, it is finished in liquid yellow. And as well as genuine cars, there are models. Oh, yeah. I could get the, so I've already I bought this for €6. Okay, right, we've got an estimate of €250,000 to €500,000. This car raced at Le Mans in 1977. So that is an absolute beaut from the 70s. Obviously, they didn't have cockpits or canopies here. That's a Renault shipping container.
It's full of little Renaults.
There's little Renaults in there. We're here mostly for the concept cars, and these are all the molds. Look, there's a Twizy, the molds for some of their concept cars, and some of the French concept cars are so wacky, so innovative, and we're going to see some later. That probably spawned the Wind later on. That's probably the original Wind concept. Does it say anything about it? It is the Wind concept car.
Is it the Wind or the Wind?
Well, we're back to the Formula One cars, the Lotus 95T. Now, this isn't a setter car. This was used in competition. It was raced. But look, the estimate, 350 to 700,000 euros in absolutely remarkable condition. We've got some concept cars at the end there. There's so much out back that I'm looking forward to seeing. And then we've got these, 1998? Oh, it's a replica, okay. A replica of the Renault Type A. But I hope you don't mind, we are at a Mark 1 Twingo from 2023. So celebrating their 30th anniversary of the Renault Twingo, they took, I think, 3 of them and put electric drivetrains in, but kept their gearboxes to celebrate 30 years of the car. So this is a 2023 one, and you can see this one is the Gangster Crew prototype because it was inspired by cars of West Coast, like West Coast Customs. And you can, I was gonna say you can tell, but you really can't. So it's grey with the gold wheels. It is obviously a phase 1 with that impact bumper there and the cheeky headlights. And then it's got red leather interior, well, red on the dash, red on the door cards, and then leather seats there. And then going with the red theme, we've got the red sunroof on the Twingo as well. We've got the Renault Kangoo, the Bebop ZE concept. So the Bebop ZE stands for electric in 2009 with 60 horsepower. And we move over to combustion vehicles and the Renault Spider, but this one is a prototype vehicle. Again, finished in liquid yellow, 20 to 30,000 euros for the prototype Renault Spider. And to be fair, from the prototype's visual, not much was changed for the production model, which is very special to say. Inside, it's all absolute flawless condition, very minimalistic. And from prototype, we go to concept car. So this is the concept for the Series 3 Renault Clio. So this is what they first produced, and proportionally a little bit more angular, a bit more futuristic, but you can can see where they came from this to produce the Renault Sport Clio. So slightly more flared arches with that grille behind the front wheels there, and the alloy wheels with the red details, Renault Sport badging up the side, and a beautiful cherry red. Renault Sport seats, there's me, hello everyone. So obviously as the concept for the Renault Sport Clio, it had the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, and what didn't actually meet production is the panoramic sunroof. That's one way to differentiate this concept. Now this one doesn't say it can't be registered, but I presume all these concept cars cannot be, unfortunately, and that's why the estimates are a little bit lower than you might expect.
If you took this to England,
yes,
I don't care. If you took this to England
just badge
and took
it
to an MOT garage,
yeah,
no one's going to say
no one's going to care.
Not on
but there are more interesting cars. Oh, look, this is a Renault Modus concept, and it's actually, this was probably quite a out there concept car when it was produced, and then they went from this to quite a quirky car with the Modus later on. It was basically a taller Clio or Twingo substitute, but again, this car cannot be road used because it is a concept car, much like the Renault Kangoo compact concept vehicle. So much is different on this car, but look at the windscreen. There's absolutely no pillar at the top of the screen. It's all the way back and beyond to the boot. You've got a few lines in the rear, but the rear seats, I don't know if you can see, they face at the back. But look at the curvature of that design there. Only a 2-door with a button there to open the door, which is slightly proud, and then this burnt orange effect. Only 3,000 to 5,000. This car was produced to celebrate rollerblading. Of all things, they partnered with a rollerblade company, and at the rear, unfortunately we can't see, but there are some rollerblades. You can see in the boot there, hard to see through the reflections, he's got rollerblades mounted in the back with those rear facing seats. But next door is something absolutely fascinating, the Clio Grand Tour concept. So the Mark III Clio with completely different headlights, and around the side you can see it is still a 2 or 3 door, but has been stretched. It's got very futuristic interior, again with that windscreen without a top pillar, and behind the rear seats you've got 2 screens for the back passengers. The seats are folded down in the back currently. You can see the boot on this Grand Tour concept. So made for Grand Touring with only 2 doors on the sides of the car in that gold paintwork. Another concept car from 2007, 6,000 to 10,000 euros, but cannot be registered once more. Some sporting elements like that grille down the side there. It's got the same engine that the RS fitted, that 2-litre, absolutely cool. And then we come with the Twingo concept. So after the Mark I's success, they produced 2 million Mark I Twingos. They decided they should bring back the name in 2006, once again with that full panoramic windscreen to sunroof, and the division between the seats, which is a hark back to the Mark I's practicality. You could use the Mark I as a bed, and the full spacious interior on such a compact car. We've got these integrated triangular wing mirrors and very subtle Renault Sport logo in the art. Fatter arches than the production model. The concept Renault Twingo Mark II, 6,000 to 10,000 euros. But again, they say it cannot be registered on the road, but that's definite in France. But maybe some loophole, someone might be able to. Look at the quirky wheels on that. They are chrome with yellow stripe to match the yellow brake calipers, and more RS branding, the checkered flag down that. But venturing outside is where it gets really exciting. Have a look at these race cars. I can see another Twingo, and I can see a 6-wheeled Clio. Oh my goodness. Now, funnily enough, there is one of these in the UK, but it hasn't been on the road for a few years. It is currently Sawn, but this is Renault's own 6-wheel Clio. Look at that. So you've got the production, they took the Clio and then they added this rear bed kind of out of another Clio's rear end there, and then added this extra bit, and then the 6 wheels, the 4 at the back. I know,
What's wrong with
oh, there's
me?
the van you want to see. Okay, let's start at the front. We have the Renault 21 Super Touring car. This came second in the championship in 1989. And then we go on to something a bit more my era when I was younger, growing up, the touring cars, the Renault Laguna from 1994. And look, it's still got the Laguna splitter. These splitters were fitted on any modified cars in the early noughties because they would fit quite easily and they were the cool thing to do. The Laguna splitter. It's got a Laguna splitter. What's the estimate? Look, for you might have to spend 30 to 40,000 euros on a BTCC car to get your splitter. They say this is the 1994 runner-up and it was probably driven by Alan Menu, is what they say. We've got a Renault 5 police car. This is actually just a humorous wrap on one of the last ever Renault 5s before obviously now the resurgence of the Renault 5, and beyond that we have another Renault 21, the Turbo Group NA. This competed in the European Rally Championship from 1988 through to 1990. But one of my favourites so far, it is a replica of the Renault Megane Maxi. So like, you know, the Renault 5 Maxi Turbos, this is the Megane Maxi. The coupe hatchback style really suits those wide arches. Look, you even got coupe written on it as well. James has found another Twingo. Look at the conditions. So this has phase 2 headlights, but it's a phase 1 bumper that's been, I was going to say color coded, but it's a different color. I think that's on purpose. But look at the rear end. I just want to pay attention. The fat with a PH, by the way, fat with a PH. And what are these Speedline wheels? What size are they? 18-inch. So this is the second of their EV converted Mark 1 Twingos to celebrate 30 years of the Twingo, and this is the Y2K version. So we had the West Coast Customs inspired one. This one has been inspired by boy bands of the noughties. I promise you. So you've got this pearlescent blue on the bumpers and then on the bodywork, and inside I'm imagining this is what, you know, Boyzone would have worn as jackets, this material of the interior. And then inside you can see we've got a translucent gear gator on the gear stick there in blue. Still a minimalistic dashboard. I think it's still a Series 1, Phase 1 Twingo. Look at that Twingo bejazzled badge. The typography has been continued with that. That looks like it also came off their jacket. Still got the almost standard 4-spoke wheels. And again, I think Phase 2 rear lights on this Renault Twingo EV, and then the sliding sunroof there. The original Twingos, they just had the aerial as part of the wing mirror collection to save money when producing the car. You've got another Twingo logo on the dashboard as you see there. Now there's a few, before it gets dark, I want to go to this section. We've got more concept vehicles. Look at this concept car here. So you've got cameras for wing mirrors that, you know, the A and B pillar flow down and then exit. That looks so modern, but this is from 2009. The Renault Florence ZE concept, again with that windscreen that flows all the way from the front. Look at that interior, beautiful. All the way through, we've got these presumably solar panels, or at least resembles that for its efficiency. And then the Fluence rear end with the high-vis reflectors there. We next come to the Renault Step concept, which some say inspired the Dacia Jogger. So this was a rugged off-roading vehicle. You can see with that camo effect on the doors and controls that can be used whilst wearing gloves, they say. There's even like slip proofing on the pedals of this car, and I'd presume it's waterproof interior as well. Another car that cannot be registered purely because these are all concept vehicles. This one from 2006 with that roof rack on the top there and futuristic design once again. But we come to another favourite of mine, this station wagon, if you will, to see very simplistic designs and gorgeous pearlescent paintwork. This is the Renault Evado. So this was obviously meant to be the Laguna estate, and yes, it was inspired by the American Woodies. It's got features such as electric windows in that they can tint themselves, and you've got entertainment system for the kids in the rear seats, and I think in the boot, inbuilt, there was a toy box. I don't know if you can see there, that is some, like, you know, systems for some rear facing seats in the back there for the kids. And then in the front we have a satellite navigation system from the year 1995. So I think it was the windows in the back that can be electronically tinted to hide your groceries or your children from any view. There are the rear facing seats, and it is badged as the Laguna Evado. So futuristic, so clean in design, and again, more panoramic roofs So much light let into these concept cars. You've got what looks like a toilet seat there behind the seat, but I think that is just storage for your passengers. But you can't have a middle passenger there because of the entertainment system. And then particularly 90s interior in that, but I love the colour. And then that fake wood effect. And then those 6-spoke wheels. And next door is a Renault breakup. Genuinely, this is a Renault Kangoo breakup. It was a rugged sporting activity vehicle with room for mountain bikes in the back. There's no glass there, that is part of the design once again. So it comes with these bicycles that are mounted, purpose mounted in the back of the breakup. There is its spare wheel, and around the side you can see more of its practicality, the tall, very tall doors in the break apostrophe up. But this next car is actually not a Renault. It was produced by a coach builder called Chazon, which means slipper in British, and it does indeed look like a slipper. I don't think that's the intention. So it's called the Pearl, which is an initialization that is all in French. I'm not going to even try and pronounce that. In 1989 they produced this. It featured in a film, but unfortunately their factory closed in the year 2000. Now the connection to Renault on this car is the engine, which I think's in the front, although I can't see any bonnet release or anything. It's from a Renault 11, but take a look at this airy interior and the big beefy handbrake there in the middle, the two-tone seats, green and brown, through to the back. So there is its square door handle, and presumably, I'm trying to work out how the doors open. It's such a good concept that I can't see where a hinge could be. So maybe someone guess in the comments, how does this door open? Is it a gull wing? Is it a conventional door? And then round the rear, we've got these wires that are just there. And there it is, the chausson. Now, 2 years after the breakup, they produced this, which is a widened and also shortened Renault Trafic, another rugged concept car for off-road use. You can see it's got a widened track and then shortened. And then look at these doors, the shape of that fat door handle there. And then looks to be waterproof interior, still manual. And then rear end seats, two separate rear seats there, and then that diagonal attitude is shared at the back, similar to the rear with the mountain bikes, the Renault Trafic. Now, out of all these cars here, we've got the concept cars, we love that. There's another Twingo to look at, one of the three that they made, the electric conversions ones for 30th anniversary. But there's one in particular, is it a Renault 21, I believe, that I'm going to show to you and confuse the bejesus out of you. So this was produced for a film. Let me walk you around it first and show you what it's like, and then tell you more about it later on. So we've got makeshift doors. So obviously the windscreen would originally be here and the driver's seat would be up front. So that's where the driver's door would be. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 doors as part of the design. These do hinge and open, all 4 of them, but they obviously don't open to anything. We've got this mixture of engine parts on display here. Got the pistons up there. This isn't anything to do with how it's powered. It's still got the engine under the bonnet there, I believe. But inside here, you will notice the largest steering rack of the collection. There's still pedals down there. So to drive it, let me show you. You drive the pedals there, and then the steering rack goes up to the top, and you steer it from above. Genuinely, that is how it is driven. And to be fair, I might be wrong about that, because there's pedals here as well. So maybe you can take full control from atop this secondary car above it. So one Renault 21 there, and then this stretched Renault 21 with quad exhaust on both of them, even though this one isn't actually powered. So this was made for the film Levy and Goliath, whereby a pair of people bring back some narcotics to the Renault factory, and this is what was produced after the narcotics were accidentally consumed, or...
Oh, is that the actual story?
That's the actual story of the film, and that's so it was made for the film. And so we've noticed, obviously, you've got fake engine components there. I'm presuming it's still powered there, and you've got the 4 doors there. It's been lengthened.
Well, the thing is it still powered there? Because,
well, I presume so.
Well, look how far away they've moved it.
It's still got wipers, and it's got 4 of them, even though there's no windscreen. And then on the back.
I mean, I'm still none the wiser on what's going on with this.
I mean, the exhaust.
This is complete car.
Yeah.
This is normal length up to here.
Yes, But then you could start at the front and say, well, it's normal length up to there, and then that's where the interior would be, and now it's here.
I hate this, and I love it.
So it makes the Renault 25 limousine look a bit plain next door. Then we've got the Renault Scenic Rally car and some Espaces. But we're going to go to the Twingo because this is the third electric converted Twingo for the 30th anniversary. Now, all of them were phase 1 Twingos despite their updated look. So you've got the impact bumpers there and the cutesy headlights. But next door to it is another attempt at a large-scale EV. So yes, this is an electric Renault Clio. You can see the flap on the front wing there. That's where you plug it in. So quite a bit of a theme with these small Renaults with electric power. But after this Renault 25 is another piece of automotive history. So in 1990, the French government with Renault and Peugeot signed an agreement to try and produce more economic vehicles. So this is a turbine propelled electric Renault Espace Gen 3, the Vert. So you've got the translucent bonnet and then pretty standard Renault Espace everywhere else. Vert is basically a French acronym for a turbine-powered electric vehicle. That's what it means. It's not convertible, and it's so untouched in appearance other than that transparent bonnet here to show off the reason why this is such a special car. It's got a few missing components, so it doesn't actually run, cannot be registered once again, but such a cool piece of machinery, and I'm guessing quite a low estimate due to its uselessness. Estimate is 5,000 to 7,000 euros. Now the rest of the cars are more ancient artifacts from the Renault Museum. We've got the Renault 4, a Renault bus. Look at the long snout on the front of that, and various other cars pre and post-war on display here, getting ready to be auctioned off. Look at this green beauty here. So this rear-engined Renault Floride was produced in this colour for Disney to open Euro Disney, which is now known as Disneyland Paris. That's why it is in this beautiful colour, and even look on the steering wheel, we've got matching colour-coded teal. But by this lineup of funky Renault 4s, we have the Renault Operandi concept van. So in the year 2000, alongside some Renault Modus concepts that you can kind of see comparatively in design, that it's similar to that, was this goods van that they designed to be the most future. Look, it's got 3 spokes on it. I love that front end. And again, we've got the curvaceous windscreen with the single wiper blade. You can see modern interior there, and it's very operational rear end. So the driver can get in through the door, and then we've got almost like 350Z squares in design, a very angular rear end, look at that, and a concertina style opening apparently, but it just looks like normal doors to me. I love the look of those rear lights on that van, finished in metallic grey. They're estimating only between 1,000 to 3,000 euros for this car, but it does not have an engine, even though it's got that dainty bonnet. The curvature of that is so cool. I love how it follows the flow of the wheel arch there around the front end, and then you've got this fold, the crease that ends on the door, and then this handle that I presume you feed the pony. But we now come back to the 6-wheeled Renault Clio. So this was produced in 2001 in the factory that we are next to now, the Renault Flynn's factory, to train their workers in metalworks. They cut up 2 Clios, they strengthened the rear end by adding another chassis to it, and create this unique 6x6 is what they say. But we know there's a 6-wheeler in the UK much like this, probably inspired by this Clio. So we've got the pickup bed here, and then that flush rear end, and my face. Hello everyone. But though it is fun to call it a 6x6, these are not driven wheels. It is still front wheel drive, but a stretched pickup ute Renault Clio is another highlight in the auction. And then at the front we've got another race car, this Renault Dauphine Bonneville, presumably for the salt flats. But to conclude, we have a pair of Alpines, a Renault Aventine driving by, and inside we have another look at one of the cars as the 1997 Williams Renault Formula 1 car, estimate up to 1.2 million euros. But this is our final look at the auction with the Clio Williams and the gift shop that we're going and have another look at as well, of course. We are driving back to the UK here. We're only for a day are we visiting this place just to show you these cars that have just come out of the museum and will probably never be seen again. They're going to go to private collectors that can't drive them on the roads. Some of them can be driven, but a lot of the concepts especially cannot. So let me know, which car would you take home out of all of these? For me, I don't know. It has to be that Renault 21.
The Xantia that we arrived in.
The Citroen Xantia, yeah, the Citroen. Out of all these Renaults here, it's the Citroen, James' Citroen. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. We're doing a few more auctions in the winter whilst car shows are a bit dead. I've just noticed a Twingo that I'm going to have to conclude with.
No, that's going in the auction.
It is.
It's going in the auction. That's the Twingo cuddly toy.
It's a cuddly toy.
£2,000.
Wow. Well, we were not lying. It's so. Is it nice? Oh wow! What's the estimate on this? You said 1 to 2,000 euros for a almost 1-to-1 scale Renault Twingo soft toy. Oh, amazing. So yeah, we're heading off now back to the UK, back to Blighty. So I hope you enjoyed that video from Paris and Road to Rust. Thanks for joining and driving in the Citroen. And hopefully my Twingo will be on the road soon. So I'm getting it done in time for Adam Seafest, which is on the 3rd of May 2026. So I've got 5 months to get the Twingo restored and ready. So keep an eye out on my socials for all updates and information about that car. But for now, thanks for watching.